Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of Learning FreeCAD for Beginners, where I teach the fundamentals of FreeCAD from a beginner's perspective. Today we're going to be looking at configurable and dynamic models in the forms of this gate, where we have a parametric spreadsheet that drives the configuration of the gate. Also, we've included a master sketch workflow where you can change the profiles in total isolation to the model and allow those to take effect in the model itself. But I hope this helps you with basic parametric spreadsheets and a master clone workflow for profiles. Hope you enjoy this series, and let's have a look at this technique. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. For this example, we're going to be creating a customizable grate, and that's going to be the customization of the profiles and the configuration and size of the grate itself. Let's start with the grate. So I'm going to create a new body and a new sketch along the XY plane and hit OK. And create two uprights for the sides of the grate, and then a top section that goes across here. We're going to take the bottom points of the two uprights and place them symmetrical to the center point by clicking on them and then clicking on the last point, which is the center point, and using the symmetry constraint. I'm going to do the same for the top section as well, taking these 2 points and the vertical axis and using symmetry. I'm going to use a curve to join these two together to round off these edges. Like so. We make sure that these two curves have equality across the radius. So now we've got this model. What I'm going to do is take the curves and make these two tangent, and the same for the top as well. And again on this side, using the tangency constraints. We get a message saying about the substitution of constraints. We just OK that. So now we've got this model. Let's close that and start setting up our spreadsheet. I want to control the heights of these lengths. So this will probably be a length all the way up to here and a length going across the top. To do that, I start the spreadsheet by coming into the drop down and picking the spreadsheet workbench. We create a new spreadsheet or spreadsheet, create spreadsheet, and we can start adding our parameters in here. So I'm adding a top length and a side length. We'll add a top length of 500 millimeters and a side length of 200 millimeters. Let's give these aliases by clicking on the 500, coming up to the alias and typing in top length. Be careful of the casing because the casing does matter. Let's hit enter and click off. This should be colored now so we can see the alias has taken effect. Let's type in the next alias for side length for the 200 millimeters. Make sure you hit enter and click off. So we've got these two fields aliased, therefore we can use them in our sketch. Let's come over to the sketch and double click it. I'm going to set the top length here by using these 2 points because we've got the curvature here, and set a length. There's a little button on the end to allow for a formula. So click on the formula and type in spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will come up, and then we have a dot and type in top length with a capital T matching the case of the lettering, and you get the 500. This is connected now to the spreadsheet. You can see that's grayed out, so it's connected. Also, the length at the top will become orange. It's got that length in there. Let's do the same for the top, this point and this point, and set the height. Again, using the button on the end for the formula and typing in Spreadsheet. Pressing the down arrow selects the item in the list. You've got the dot on the end, which is important, and type in side. It automatically shows, and can press the down arrow key to get to there and hit enter and OK. When we OK that, we got our length set up. And we can alter this tangency if we want. Let's set a radius in here. So let's go back to the spreadsheet, hit close, come into the spreadsheet. Top radius. And we'll set that for the time as 20. Click on the field, give it an alias of top radius, and hit enter. Coming back to the sketch, we can come over, select the top arc, and add a radius in here. Again, selecting the formula button, type in Spreadsheet, top radius, and hitting enter and OK. Now I've got that in there, everything's fully constrained. Any changes to the spreadsheet, if I close that, zoom in out, any changes to this spreadsheet will be reflected in the sketch. Now we've got those, let's start making the profiles. I'm going to come over to the model tab, and this body, I'm going to click on it, I'm going to right click, I'm going to click toggle active body. This is not active now. This means when I add items to the tree view, they'll go underneath the body, rather than accidentally being placed inside. It's fine if they get placed inside, we can drag them out. Click on your document and right click, create group. A new group has been created. This will be the templates. So this is the profile templates. We're just going to create one for the time being. So let's come into the sketcher and create our first profile. Make sure nothing's selected. So we've got nothing selected in the tree view. This means when we click on the create sketch, it'll be added to one of the planes rather than attached to one of these items. We're going to go for X, Y and hit OK. Make sure any profiles are sketched around this center point. So for now, I'm just going to go for a simple circle in here, like so. Hit escape, I'm going to set the radius of this circle to around 15 millimeters. We could hook this up to the spreadsheet, but we're going to be changing the shape of this profile. This is the reason why we kept them as templates. So we close that. What will be happening is the spreadsheet will be controlling our grate, and any amendments to the profiles will be controlling the profile that creates the material around this grate. Let's rename this sketch. Call it profile 1. I'm going to drop the profile into the profile templates, so they're neatly inside that group. Now let's come over to the draft workbench. Now in the draft workbench, we can come into the profile templates, click on the profile, come up to modification and click on clone. That's cloned that profile. You'll see it outside of that profile templates. Make sure we click on the profile and press the spacebar to hide it. I can now drop this profile inside the body. When we open up the body, we've now got the profile. That's attach this to this body. Click on the profile, come down to the map mode, you can see it's deactivated, and click inside this field. This is on the data tab, and click on the button on the end. And now select the vertex of this path. So you can see we've got it selecting up here. If this isn't selecting, just click on the button and then click on the vertex. At the moment it's translate origin. That means the sketch has translated over to this point. The sketch itself hasn't translated, it's a clone that's actually translated to this point. Reference 2, make sure that is saying selecting, and now pick this line. So the edge of the path we want a sweep to follow. It'll go into error, and that's because we got to select normal to edge. That flips that profile around so the Z-axis is in line with this edge. So remember, a sketch has only got 2 axes. The Z-axis always runs away from the sketch. And we're dealing with local and global coordinate systems here. Let's OK that. Now I've got the profile. We can use that in a sweep. Just going to hide the gridding with this button on the toolbar. So gridding's gone. Let's come back over to the part design. Come to the model, make sure the profile is selected. So this profile here, this one is the path that we want it to follow. So I'm just going to rename that. Now select the profile. We're going to be using the additive pipe, and then select the object for the path that we want to sweep, which is this one. That's swept our path now, and hit OK. We've got the starts of our grate, our parametric grate. That means that we can come into the spreadsheet any time and change, say, the side length to 300. Come back, and everything's changed. So we've got to the point we have our outer structure, our spreadsheet, and our templates for the profiles. We now want to create some struts that go across this way. We want this totally configurable. So we're going to create a sketch, but it's not going to be in the obvious way that we're going to sketch this grid. So make sure nothing's selected. Make sure that the body is active. Should be bold. If not, right click, toggle active body, and create a sketch. Place it along the XY plane and hit OK. Now we don't need to create a line that's going to go here. We want to keep it centered. Let's just place a single line centered in here. We're going to control this by length and placement. Let's hit escape, get the mouse pointer back, and set some length. If I come out to the length, we insert in length. Let's come to the formula editor. We're going to use the spreadsheet and set it to side length and hit OK. Hit OK. You can see that's gone all the way through and into this section. We can see that if we close that, click on this pipe and press the space bar, how that sits within there. Now we've modeled this over the center point. So we need to move this across to this side to allow us to place the struts across here. We could have modeled this from the center point, so the start of this here, and then we wouldn't have to do this. But as we come this far, let's show you how you resolve this. Let's come into that new sketch and rename it. I'm going to call it vertical strut path. And now I'm going to take that and change the attachment offset, the position, and we want to change it along the X. So the X here. Come into the formula. You can see that the minus value is taking us this way. Because this is symmetrical around the center point, all we need to do is come into the formula and set the formula to minus spreadsheet dot top length divided by 2 and hit OK. That places it in that position there. This will create a strut that's going along this way. We don't want this. We want to offset this forward. Now I may want to offset it by the radius, therefore I just sketched it upon this point, but I might want to offset a bit more into here. So for the time being, I can come back into the formula and add the spreadsheet dot top radius and hit enter. That places that length along there. We can define additional offset in the spreadsheet add a value, change the alias, hit enter, coming back to that strut and then adding that onto the formula. Therefore we get some offset. Now let's create our profile. I'm going to use the same profile in our profile templates. So we need to come over to the draft workbench once again and come up to modification and clone. That will clone that selected profile. We can drag that profile into the body, and then we can select the profile, select the map mode, click on the button on the end and select the vertex, followed by the next selecting the line, and make sure it's saying normal to edge so our profile points in the correct direction. Let's hit OK. Take the profile and over in the part design, we're going to make sure the profile is selected and make the pipe. So the additive pipe, profile is selected for the object. The next object that we want is this line. It connects up, so that's going to be fine when it comes to arraying across here. Let's hit OK. So that's there. We can now go to the model and create a linear pattern of this pipe. To do that, click the last action, the additive pipe. This highlights the whole lot, but it's actually going to take this as a single part and pattern it across here. So click on the additive pipe, come to part design, apply a pattern and linear pattern. Our linear pattern has applied. You can see it's going in the right direction. If the direction is incorrect, then we can change the direction here. And the occurrences, let's put that to 4 and change the length to say 200. And you can see how that's gone across there. Let's hit OK and come into that linear pattern. I'm going to hook up the occurrences and the length back to the spreadsheet. So come to the spreadsheet and we're going to place horizontal count for the occurrences as 5 and horizontal spacing as 200. I'm going to use these labels as the aliases, hit enter. So I'm just copying the labels just to save time. And now we can come back to the linear pattern, change the occurrences to spreadsheets, horizontal count, and length to spreadsheet dot horizontal spacing. So we've changed those in the properties of the linear pattern. So now we can go in and change the horizontal spacing and the occurrences to what we see fit. So the next step is to create some more gridding that runs this way. It's basically repeating the process. So let's hide the linear pattern and come back into the original additive pipe, open that up and look at the path. Let's create a new sketch, XY plane, and OK. Remember, it's tempting to place the line here, but I'm going to place it at this point, going this way. I'm going to set that to the top length by coming in and adding a length. Go into the formula and type in spreadsheet dot top length and hit OK. OK once more and closing. Now we set the adjustment of where they should be. Let's change this to horizontal strut. Horizontal strut path. Come into the sketch and look at the attachment, not the placement because that'd be read only, the attachment, the position, and we can nudge the X, see if we've got the right axis. which we have, and we set the formula to spreadsheet dot top length divided by 2, and make sure that's in the minus direction, and hit OK. So that's attached at this point but offset to here. Now for the y-axis, we may need to add some offset if we want to leave some space clear here. Let's add that to the spreadsheet. So we've got the additional offset here. Let's add a vertical offset. And place 10mm in there. Again, I'm going to use the label just to alias this up with the alias. Hitting enter and making sure that this is coloured. Now come back to the parametric gate. Find our horizontal strut. Come into the Y and change this with an offset, spreadsheet dot v-offset. Hit OK, and it's going to go in the correct direction. And it's a case of repeating, so we want the profile. At the moment we're only using one profile. We can add more in a moment. Back to the draft workbench. Modifications, clone, and drop the clone into the body. We're going to connect the profile up to this line now. If you want to, we can select this path and press the spacebar to hide it. Select that profile and change the map mode. Again, selecting the vertex, the line, and then normal to edge, and OK. Come back over to the part design. And though our linear pattern, the last action is hidden, that doesn't matter. We can just take the profile, create the pipe, click the object and add the object and hit OK. We've got the pipe in there. This again is down to profile and offset. Remember, we've offset this slightly. So we can come in and change the spreadsheet to offset it a bit more. Like so. And this is a case of doing the linear pattern again. So repeating the linear pattern up here with the spreadsheet and adding the formulas to the linear pattern. This time the linear pattern is going to go this way. So you can see the horizontal is horizontal sketch axis. We need to reverse the direction. So it goes the other way. And set a length. And also set the occurrences. Once we've got some in there, we can go back in to the spreadsheet and add our parameters into the spreadsheet. And finally, going back into the linear pattern and hooking up the properties. Once we're happy, then we can decide if we want different profiles for these struts here. That's quite simple to do because we just come in and create a new profile. So we create a sketch. It's going to go into the body, but we're going to move it outside the body in a moment. So let's go XY plane and OK. Let's come in and hide the linear pattern and create a very simple profile. For this one, I'm going to use a square. So a rectangle over this center point, and set some symmetry between these points, and we'll make all the sides equal. So using these two sides, make those equal, and we'll also set some length. Around about 5 mil. So we've got our new profile. When I come out, by coming up to task and closing, our profile sits in the center there, and we've got a new sketch here. Let's change this to profile. So this is profile 2. It's inside the body at the moment, which we don't want, so drag it outside. So take it and drag it onto the top project here. That will move it outside, and then we can drag it inside our templates directory. Now we could go through the process of cloning this back in to the linear pattern to use against the linear pattern. So this one here. So we come into this, you can see this has been done with the additive pipe, and we've got the profile here. We could clone it and replace it, but the easiest thing to do is click on that profile that's being used, this one here, and change the object that it clones. So you can see it's cloning sketch 001 profile 1. So we click on here, use the button on the end, clear, and we'll find profile 2 in the list. So this one here, and hit OK. Click off, edit, refresh, and we can see the profile that's taken effect. Because we just changed the profile, we don't have to change the placement or anything like that. The profile was placed in the same way as the original one. We've just swapped them in. Let's do this one as well. So for that one, we're going to come up and find, as part of this linear pattern, so I'm going to press the spacebar on this linear pattern. This will show that step and hide all the rest. Let's come into this additive pipe, this one here, and we can see the profile within here. So come down and look at the objects that's cloned. Notice we still got the map mode here, normal to edge, and the support. It's just the object that we're cloning. Click on that and change it from profile 1 to profile 2. So clear and click on profile 2 and hit OK. Click off. We need to refresh. That's bring back the last action, this one here. Edit, refresh, and that's taken effect. So we have a parametric grid or a grate that we can swap in and out the profiles. We can change these profiles, so we can come into profile 1 and change, let's say, change the diameter of this, a bit too big. Let's bring back to 10 mil and close. We're changing the radius, so we've changed the radius of that. And we can come in and change the count, the vertical count to 5, or the horizontal spacing, etc., etc. in there. And we get our fully parametric grid that we can modify and use in our applications. It was a bit of a long tutorial, but I hope that's opened your eyes to the way you can use that spreadsheet and profile templates to make your models more configurable and dynamic for you or your client's needs. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.